Well, hello there. This is your evangelical fanboy of the all things restoration, and I want to thank the Reform Mormonism movement um, for allowing me to just say a few words here briefly for your first general conference and first of hopefully many. And I just kind of been reflecting on what does it mean um, to be a fanboy of the restoration, but more importantly, what the work that this channel has been doing is listening to all the voices of the restoration. So I'm going to title this All the Voices of the Restoration. And as I peruse like my most recent edition of the Book of Mormon that I just received, this is it hasn't been published yet. It's about ready to be. And it's the very first world's first almost indestructible waterproof Book of Mormon. Matter of fact, you can even tear the pages. And then I go through and I look at different expressions of the Restoration and their books of Mormon, including the Church of Jesus Christ, which I'll get to in shortly. And then, of course, another expression of the Restoration, the Chronicles of the Children of Arenek by prophet, seer, and revelator Matthew Gill in England. And then I get to hear even outsiders' expressions and voices through a book such as A Pentecostal Reads the Book of Mormon, a literary and theological introduction by Christopher Thomas, who's one of the leading Pentecostal theologians in the world. And he was the just the founding president of the Book of Mormon Studies Association. And that's been doing a very important work. So there's also this interfaith aspect that's going on as well within, I think, all these really new, cool expressions that are happening now with of course, we're in the information age, the age of the internet, and there's just a lot of people talking to each other that in the past weren't. And I really feel part of it was I was called to enter into this space to facilitate dialogue between all the different branches of the restoration, but then also extend it out to all other groups within the restoration. And that's why I think Reformed Mormonism is a really important expression in the restoration because it deals with people who often are on the fringes, the people who maybe are not accepted by some of the mainstream churches, but are believers in the restoration, are believers in the doctrine of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and in the restoration as a whole. And maybe because they're queer or they're trans or any number of reasons why they don't feel welcome spaces in other branches of the restoration. This movement's been around for a couple decades or a few decades now, I believe. But now it's kind of organizing in such a way that you're having a general conference and then allowing all those other voices to come and be heard, and including mine. And actually, Evan Charley, who's one of the facilitators of this group, reminded me probably about a year ago or so, but she went and said, Steve, you are part of the restoration. And I never thought of it that way, but that really hit me that in one sense, I'm as much of a product of the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith as I owe a lot of my identity to him as much as a person who's a member in the restoration. And that really struck me. And I just really want to commend the work that Rob and Evan are doing. These are two important people who've been on my show multiple times. And just to see the evolution of this movement, and including me even encouraging Evan to maybe engage this group, and then eventually she got involved after basically departing from the community of Christ. And then, of course, we've been able to document that journey in this space as well, which I think is a really important journey and an important voice. And that's what we try to do here. Now, I do get pushback for having certain people on, and it's bipartisan. There are people on the right and people on the left that say, why in the world are you having this person on? Why are you platforming them? And my thing is that really even people who are controversial often do represent the views of millions of people. So you just can't ignore these individuals and what they have to say. But also, more importantly, is that what we try to do here is try to model how dialogue can be done in such a way in which you can have people from two disparate camps that are antagonistic to each other and find ways to build bridges and bring people together. One of the first things that God showed me when I first started this channel was he went to me and said he placed me in a place where on one side of the street I'm on with my people holding up signs, and across the street there was another group of people holding up signs in opposition to my group. And God said, "See those people across the street?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Just remind yourself, those are fellow image bearers, fellow image bearers." So I even have people in this program that I wildly disagree with, and in some cases may not even personally like them too much. But I think that their voices are very, very important. And those are kind of the founding principles of this whole thing is just to listen to all the voices, recognize that we all are image bearers, and also recognize that Jesus hung out with the people on the fringes, the destitute, the prostitutes, the even the tax collectors. Oh my goodness. And the point being is that he loved people where they were at and wasn't afraid to affiliate with them. And I think that's the most important thing. And also to take on the religious establishment that is judgmental towards people and is very much about in-group, out-group thinking, and went into their temple in his own temple and turned over the tables. And as Dr. Kyle Bashir is a fellow evangelical who is also a highly regarded scholar in the Mormon space, said once on Gospel Tangents, he said, Jesus didn't go into Samaria and turn over the tables in their temple. He went and did it in the temple in Jerusalem. The point being is that a lot of this antagonism that evangelicals have directed towards the restoration is not really biblical. We need to, I think, focus on um, rather than the speck in your eye, if you will, we do have this plank hanging out of ours in many ways. And I think it's more important that, in my sense, being part of the evangelical community, to be a voice of not opposition, but maybe, and I don't even want to say prophetic voice, but just be a voice that's pushing back against the current direction that it's heading in. So I think these kind of conversations can be very informative. And I just want to just thank Evan and Rob for all the work that they've been doing. I want to thank all the people who are going to be participating in this. Many of you I know, I'm friends with, been in communication with, maybe many of you, some of you probably been on my program. But I just want to let people know that, what we're doing here at Mormon Book Reviews is not to censor people, not to tell people to other people or cancel or whatever, but more let's just all talk to each other and try to find some commonality. In this time, in this country's period where we have so much division and so much strife, and it's literally tearing our country apart. And who knows where this all goes. I think it's really important that we have communities that can model how it can be done, how we can come together, even when we do strongly disagree with each other, and do it in a way that can be show that Christ is operating in this in our lives and in our movements. And if we're not seeing, if you don't see those fruits, I don't know if Christ is there. That's just my opinion. If you don't see striving towards uh, communications, loving, turning the other cheek, loving your enemies, all these things, if you're not seeing these things, and instead you're seeing attack, 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 you have to ask yourself, is Jesus in the center of that individual's endeavor or that movement? And I think that's really the most important thing. The Reform Mormonism movement is radical. It's bold and audacious, but I think we need that many times. It's the people on the fringes that often do push the conversation and push things in those directions. I always tell people, always look at the fringes. Don't look at the center. Look at the fringes and see what's going on, because eventually those fringes often can become very important movements. And I'm hopeful that the Reform Mormonism expression will inform these conversations for the future and show that all the voices of the restoration are included and people can contribute, and it'd be a beautiful thing. So I want to thank again the organizers of the Reform Mormonism movement for allowing my voice to be heard today. And I really wish you well in this groundbreaking conference that's happening. I also wanted to point out too that in addition to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints having their general conference, there are other expressions within the Restoration that are also having general conferences. And the very first general conference that I will be attending will be April 11th in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, which is the headquarters of the World Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ. Now, I think it's wonderful. The very first Church of the Restoration's doors that I darkened was the Church of Jesus Christ. And I think it's really appropriate that the very first general conference I attend would be the Church of Jesus Christ. So I want to thank my brothers and sisters in the Church of Jesus Christ for inviting me to attend their sacred space and their general conference, which is April 11th through the 13th. And I'm looking forward to engaging that lovely community and their wonderful people. And then I also want to just thank the wonderful people and community of the Reformed Mormonism movement and all the other expressions, including Community of Christ, which is having their World Conference in the first week of June. Maybe we'll get to that. I don't know. But really, it's just important that this is the time of year when the restoration comes together, the various groups, and maybe one day all of them will come together as one. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, and God bless.